Radio Raheem here with Roy Jones. Man, this is the first time I've done an interview and you've been taller than me. And I'm comfortable with that. You are, you've made your legend in the ring. You made your legend ringside talking about the fights, and now you're in the corner. You've got Jesse Vargas, an up-and-coming fighter that everyone's expecting big things from. How do you approach a fighter like that at a stage in his career that you've been at, you've seen it? What do you talk to him about?
You talk to him about improving and constantly getting better with every day. If you can't get better with every day, it's time to stop. And if I can't help you get better, then you don't need me.
You know, this is arguably the biggest challenge of his career thus far. Style-wise, experience-wise, Timothy Bradley, he can be called a vet now. He's been in there in some wars. So taking a step up like that for Vargas, what does he need to do? Is there anything that he needs to change to approach this level of competition?
Not a thing. The only thing you want to change is that you want to make sure that he has enough in the last 4 rounds, or just as much energy in the last 4 rounds as he does in the first 4.
Nobody would call Timothy Bradley a knockout artist, but certainly Vargas hasn't had a knockout, say, in 4 years, and Bradley is used to wars. He used to stand in the middle of the ring, exchanging heavy shots. Is that the kind of fight that Vargas needs to avoid, and are you doing anything to increase his punching power?
No, we are fine for whatever kind of fight it turns out to be. If you notice, last fight he had to stand in the middle of the ring in Macau and exchange heavy shots with DeMarco, and he did a pretty good job of it. So as long as he can bounce back and get himself back together like he did in that fight, then I think he'll be fine.
Timothy Bradley showed you much respect up there at the podium. There's some similarities between you guys, even in the way you're built. Do you see in Timothy Bradley anything that reflects a young Roy Jones Jr.?
Of course. I mean, the personality, the war style, the willingness to go out to make changes in the middle of fights. Timothy is an exceptional person and an even more exceptional fighter. He's the kind of guy that can make adjustments on the fly. I mean, I love everything about Tim Bradley. And like I said, I was really trying to get Jesse not to fight Tim Bradley because I didn't really want to have to train and go against him, because I like him so much. But for both of those guys, it's a big event. It's an opportunity for both of them. So you have to back and look at it and say, hey, how can you deny them of their opportunity if they got to fight each other to take advantage of an opportunity, and they got to do that. So you say, okay, let's ride with it. But I didn't want to see it happen that way. But like he said, it's business. We got to do what we got to do. So.
Now, obviously, you're not in the business of advising Timothy Bradley. You're in the other corner, but putting this fight aside, the loyalty's there. You guys are clearly friends. He's at a pivotal moment in his career as well. He's got to decide which direction he's going to take this thing. If you were advising Timothy Bradley, what do you think should be next for him? He said he wants to be on the road back to the top. What does that road look like?
Well, for him to get back to the top, what he probably should do is look at fighting guys that are winning. But right now, I can't really tell him what to do because I got to train my guy to try to derail it. You know what I'm saying? So it's not fair for me to tell Tim what to do when I need to worry about what my guy needs to do. So, I mean, both of them got to look at fighting the guys who are at the top, but they got to get themselves in position to fight the guys who are at the top in order to make the next step. So.
I got to talk to you now, putting your commentator hat on, your analyst hat. Obviously, the last 3 weeks, we've had some tremendous fights, as far as the spectacle in the ring on May 2nd being what it was. I'm going to take you all the way back there. People who were in the arena at the time, a lot of them felt differently than the people who saw the fight on TV. How did you feel about the fight? What did you think of the performance of both fighters? Was it entertaining? Was it a disappointment? Do you think that these fighters delivered on what they promised?
It was entertaining to me because Floyd did exactly what he promised to do. And Manny couldn't do what he promised to do. And it's just that simple. We can say it could have been the shoulder, it could have been the shoulder. I don't know. But whatever it was, it didn't allow him to do what he promised to do. And Floyd did everything that he promised to do. So, I mean, you can't be disappointed in Floyd because he did what he's supposed to do. If Manny which he did have an injury, it's hard to criticize him because if he pull out the fight, they're going to say, oh, now you scared. You feel me? So it's like the fight been 5 years. Of course he don't want to let it get away. And plus, who going to turn down the opportunity to make $150 million at least? I mean, how many of us would have said our shoulder? Now, the mistake he probably made was admitting to the public that was his problem, because if you went in there with your shoulder like that, you should have been able to feel like you could win with your shoulder like that. That's the big problem. You should never said a word about it, because if you went in there, you should have went in to win like that. You win or lose with that shoulder and you keep it moving. But when you go in there and you come out, you don't win, you say, well, it's because of my shoulder. Now you making people say, wait a minute, why you let me pay for this if your shoulder messed up? So that's what made it hard for him. But, I'm cool with both guys. I enjoyed the fight. I'm glad they finally fought, and I felt bad for Manny, but Floyd did exactly what Floyd said he was going to do, and you can't hate on that.
And lastly, Roy, in the last 2 weeks, we saw Canelo Alvarez put on a tremendous show, huge knockout. We just saw Triple G on Saturday night do the same thing. Out of these two guys, if they face each other in the ring, who would you have and why?
Well, I would go with Triple G right now because of his size factor. He's a normal middleweight, whereas the redhead is a good fighter, a very strong fighter, but he's not a normal middleweight. So Alvarez is not a solid middleweight, he's a junior middleweight. Triple G is a solid middleweight. Well, they both got good punching power, but I got to go with Triple G because of the fact that he's a bigger fighter. So.
And the X factor is Cotto. Can Cotto beat either one of those guys?
Yeah, Cotto can beat anybody on any given night. However, I think he's too small for Triple G, but we don't know. We have to see can Triple G deal with his punch. Freddie got him punching. Freddie got him fighting really good now, so we have to see.
Roy Jones, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, man. Radio Raheem with Roy Jones Jr.